Hello there. Welcome back for the final time to Sequel-A-Thon 4. I'm Scotty. You're not. And, surprise! This was not on the list. I decided last minute that I needed to have a big finale, and this is like the biggest one. Originally, this and Godzilla X Kong were on the list, but then I wanted to watch Godzilla X Kong right away, so yeah, this I did watch almost right away. I bought it when it came, around the time it came out, and then I watched it with my son about a week ago, a little over a week ago. So, yeah. I still think it's on par with the last one. It's not as good. It's not the worst one, and it's certainly not the end of a franchise. Come on. I feel like ever since the 2016 Ghostbusters, those who called themselves real Ghostbuster fans have just been shitting all over these movies. Because it's not the same. You know, unrightfully so. The 2016 Ghostbusters movie got a lot of hate. And as much as you want to deny it, it's because it's women. People say, no, it's not, it's a good movie, it's bad humor, the movie's just bad. It's not that bad. It's not that bad. And if I can throw out the fact that they're women, there's not, it is the worst. Don't get me wrong. It's the Ghostbuster movie I'll go back to the least, but it's not terrible. That people keep saying, oh, it's the worst thing it was. As far as Ghostbusters movie goes, it is the worst of the Ghostbusters movies, but I don't get it. It just seems like, oh, they're women, and that's why. Right? And then Ghostbusters Afterlife came back, and you think people would find, like, okay, this is returning to that universe, it's returning. People still hated on it. And I'm just like, why? Why is it just practice to hate anything Ghostbusters? Right? One of the big complaints is that it's too kid-friendly. Newsflash, moron! Ghostbusters has been a kid-friendly franchise since 1985. Okay? Grow the fuck up. You're the one being childish for thinking that. Just because they're not adults and swearing and all that stuff like the first movie that everyone holds as the Holy Grail doesn't mean every movie is bad for not being just like that one. Okay? But there were some positive reviews of the last one. Apparently they did well enough to do a sequel, and then this one came out. And once again, everybody shit on it. It's just more the same from the last one. Oh, it's a fucking damn kids. Do you want 70-year-old men out there? Really? They are involved in this, but like, it's never gonna be. Okay, let me get this through your head. Ghostbusters is never gonna be what you want it to be. It's never gonna go back to that. It's been a kid-friendly franchise since 1995 when the cartoon show came out, and they were toys and all that. And that's it. It's been a kid-friendly franchise since then. Right? Get over it. Okay? Get over it. This is what Ghostbusters is now. It's a family franchise. Some could argue even the first one had some family-friendly elements to it. I mean, it was PG. It was still a PG movie, technically. That was the year the PG-13 rating came out, but it wasn't rated PG-13. Ironically, I think the first PG-13 Ghostbusters movie was the woman one. But the story just takes place, 3 years later? Right? Is that what it is, 3 years later? They're back in New York, they got the firehouse and everything. And the Spengler family and Gary are busting ghosts. When something comes into Ray's possession that causes lots of problems and a big cold frozen ice in July. Yes, that is the story. Again, I've got to put this in the intro. Air conditioner on because it's hot. So, you should have been here earlier. I used the oven to make a pizza for lunch, and it was in here with the air conditioner on. This air conditioner is crap anyway. I wish it would just work. But anyway. So yeah, about 3 years have passed. They're busting a ghost, this weird dragon thing that comes from the sewers, right? So some overall thoughts before I get going into the plot. There's one legitimate complaint I've heard people say is that there's too many characters. There is. You have Spengler family, Gary. You have the old Ghostbusters, Janine. This new technician guy that Winston has, Camille Nanjiani. Podcast, and Trevor's girlfriend. Yeah, that's a lot of characters. That's, let's see, 3 and 4 is 7. Podcast and Lucky is 8 and 9. Camille Nanjiani is 10. Plus the one dude is 11. Add Patton Oswalt in there, 12. William Atherton is back, 13. But honestly, William Atherton and Patton Oswalt don't have that much time. It's, bro. Yeah. The threat. This is I do like the big threat. This Garaka. The design and the look of him reminds me of something from the animated series. It looks like something they could have fought in the animated show. So I think that is a plus. They have a legend of this thing where it says that these fire masters contained him in an orb, and it turns out Camille Nanjiani's character Nadim is in the long line of those to become fire masters. It's just firebending. He even comes out in a suit that looks like Sokka's, or whatever his name is, suit from, like, a big firebender suit from Avatar. That's what it looks like. Yeah. I'm a big Avatar guy myself. I do like when he works out to penguins. Penguins! Yeah. Yeah, so they chase down this thing. They eventually get it. So, first of all, I have a big complaint when we start this movie. So, they're chasing this thing. So, first of all, we start with a flashback to 1909 or 1904. Right? 1904, New York City. The firehouse is some kind of swinging place, and there is he's still, according to 62, still too old to have had a Pop-Tarts with frosting when he was a kid. Sorry. That's blurted out randomly. Big LT ever watches this. He's like, hey, wait a minute, I know when you recorded that. So, we get this cold open, everyone is frozen. And then we transition to now. We come in, there's some ominous music, and then the Ghostbusters title pops up. No Ghostbusters theme. I understood why in the last one you didn't have an opening with the Ghostbusters theme playing like a traditional Ghostbusters opening. I get that. But when the woman-led Ghostbusters can have a traditional opening, Ghostbusters opening to it, and this one doesn't. The Ghostbusters are now a thing. They're literally, and when the next shot after the logo is the Ecto 5 going around the city, you could have had the theme there. They don't play there are several times during this movie where you could hit play on the Ghostbusters theme song. Most of them in this opening, a lot in this opening actually, but no, not to the end. Which is what they did in the last one. But again, it makes sense because there weren't any Ghostbusters till the end at the last one. You start out your movie with Ghostbusting. Why is the theme not playing? It just doesn't make any sense. So they capture this thing, and then they have to go talk to the mayor, who inexplicably is Walter Peck. Who elected this man? I like to think this is a commentary on how we keep electing the wrong people to be in charge of things. I'm just saying, like, who elected him? Why is he the mayor? What? Right? And they actually completely waste him. They have him do the same shit he did in the first film. Why? And by the end of the film, he does, like, end up voicing support for the Ghostbusters, but only because he's forced to on camera. Not because he's realized the problems. At one point, they even call him out on the fact that he caused the whole thing in 1984, and he just scoffs it off. Yes, I know this. Walter Peck was right. That does not give him the right to try to shut them down, right? And my question is, like, if he was the mayor, how would they even back in business to begin with? I'm sorry. Itch. I know it's really itches today. How are they even back in business then? Yeah, so they had to go to the trap and everything, and Walter Peck basically says you can't have Phoebe out there because she's underage. She's 15 now, and they keep on mentioning that Trevor is now 18, even though Finn Wolfhard is 22. They're not their real ages, so you know. But yeah. So there's a whole family issue. Oh, I forgot. There's another character I forgot to mention. The ghost that Phoebe meets in Central Park. She plays chess with. Like, she goes to sit down to play chess and you think, oh, it's going to be Egon. But no, she is surprised when someone plays back at her. Why did she go there? There's nothing ever told to us why she goes to Central Park to play chess with herself. You think maybe, oh, her grandpa's ghost goes there to play with her, but that's never brought up. Honestly, it's fine that they don't bring the ghost of Egon back. That was fine. But I don't know. Trevor has a subplot that literally goes nowhere, of trying to track down what causing black mold and stuff, and at least the Slimer. Literally, it goes nowhere. He finds it, he tries to trap it, it doesn't work, and then Slimer shows up at the end chasing the ghost dragon thingy, and that's it. Like, you'd think they would have a scene where Trevor, he pops out and Trevor says, that's the thing I've been trying to catch. And they're like, oh, that's just Slimer, he lives here. No, nothing. There's nothing. And like I said at the end, there's no comeuppance type thing. If you're gonna keep Peck being a dick, or dickless, I do like the guy that yells out, just thank them, dickless! Or why don't you thank them, dickless? There's some humor in there. But like, it looked like Peter was about to front. By the way, and this is not a negative because it's kind of obvious why, but Bill Murray's not in this movie a lot. Anything of all the old Ghostbusters, Ray's the one that gets a lot to do. You know, he's kind of feeling old. I had a thought that during the climax, maybe Ray should die. Maybe, it's his golden years, and he's gonna keep going. This is doing and doing, and he dies because of it. But they didn't. All these characters, you couldn't spare one. I'm not saying kill off Ray. They probably would have pissed off people. I'm just saying. If any of them were gonna request to die, it'd be Bill Murray, Venkman, but. So, Kumail Nanjiani walks into Ray's occult shop and tries to sell him this box of stuff. One which also contains an orb, which causes the PK meter to break, and he buys it right away. Yeah. A podcast is in this movie. By the way, you could take Lucky and Podcast out, and I don't think it would matter at all. Lucky, mostly, she doesn't do jack shit in this movie. The one time she tries to do something with the proton pack, and it doesn't work. But yeah, Podcast is interning at Ray. It's a cult bookstore, apparently. This is during the summer. They say it's July, which is why because my complaint when I watched the trailer was, wait, why did everyone go to New York? Like Podcast and Lucky have families. Her dad was the sheriff, for God's sake. Why? Yeah, apparently she's interning for the Ghostbusters at their new location. Now my first question is, well, they're like, why don't you get a new trap? We do have a new trap. Well, then why did they move? Then they asked, well, why didn't they move the monsters there? Because it would take 7 years. Really? 40 years and you haven't come up with a way to trap multiple ghosts at once? Because if you empty multiple ghosts into each trap, you think they would have that technology by now to do that. To do multiple ghosts. In fact, why don't you go back to that fucking farm and grab whatever Egon was using that could trap. That trap is big enough to hold everybody. I also like to point out that they say that every ghost in their containment unit will be set free. Where's Gozer? Right? Like, is it just trapped in the soil? Right? After they trapped it in the last one? I guess. It kind of goes from the clue at the end where the thing is blinking, but it's like, not really, but it's like, it's something to do with the containment unit, I also like that at one point, Peck decided, after someone goes out to the public library with there's this ghost called the Possessor that gets out because they bring this orb into their new little Ghostbuster headquarters thing, which, if they have this whole new facility, why are the Spanglers and Gary working on the old firehouse? You think they would use the old firehouse and, put everything... Also, they claim that they specifically chose the firehouse because it contains a rift underneath that could help them contain the ghosts. No. They chose it because Ray wanted to move in. Don't you remember? When can we move in? You guys gotta try this pole. That's why they moved there. That's why they moved in. Not some kind of rift. It's because of the fire pole. Because Ray wanted to move in there. That's why. But, yeah, let's retcon that. Did you watch the first movie? Because, this is retcon that. Okay? Yeah. They are right that Egon did design the containment unit, but... Yeah, they're right about that. But, yeah. So, after it's revealed that Camille Nanjiani comes from these... long line of fire guys or whatever, he gets tested to see if he's possessed by something, and it's only so we can get a Peter cameo where he shows up and he's testing him and stuff, and he throws pens at him and he gets mad and flames lit up, so he's got the firepower or something, as you do. And then Peter's gone for the rest of the film until the climax where he just happens to show up. We'll get there. The whole thing with the ghost is that BB's ghost friend, she makes a new friend, she wants to meet the family, and then it turns out she's being controlled by Garaka, who's this ancient demon who's cursed. His horns were torn off, and for some reason they kept the horns in the same place that they were keeping him. Yeah, because after he is freed, he goes to Camille Nanjiani's apartment and grabs the horns from the vault of copper vault or whatever, brass vault. Why would you? Well, why'd you do that? Why? Well, why would you keep insert JonTron meme here? Why would you do that? Why? Well, why'd you do that? Why? Why would you keep the horns that give him power next to him? Just saying. Just saying. But so yeah. Phoebe gets tricked. And so they have this extracting machine that extracts a spirit from an item that's possessed. And Phoebe does ask how you doing on like people who are possessed. And I'm thinking that's gonna come in handy later. But she uses it to make herself a ghost. That still doesn't make any sense to me second time watching it through. Made even less sense watching it through the second time. How is she able to do that? She's not dead. She's not dead. She's not possessed. How could she just extract a ghost from herself? It's a convoluted plot because the spell has to be done by human tongue. So then after she's extracted, Garaka possesses her body. But here's the thing. Ghosts can possess your body when your soul is still in it. Why did she need to extract herself? It makes no sense. Because he can control her ghost, I guess? I don't know. I don't know. It's confusing. Apparently Garaka promised her that she could see her family again, the ghost girl. Yeah, so... And then Garaka attacks. Everybody suits up, including Janine. And then Peter shows up and finds his stash of booze. Courage, anyone? I did like that. Do you need... I like how they think it's something big to open the door and he just bumps in. You need any help? Melnitz. Okay, so... Yeah, Janine suits up. There was quite a bit that they spoiled in the trailers. Usually trailers, or at least they should, contain stuff from the first, 35 minutes of the movie. But, everything we saw in the trailer, even, the first trailer, where the cold wave comes on the beach, the thing putting the horns back in its head, Peter calling him tall, dark, and horny, even the reveal of Janine putting on a suit, was all from the climax of this movie. Why would you do that? Just why? It's like if you did a trailer in 1997 for Titanic, and during one of the clips is just Jack falling to the ocean. Right? Or in the trailer for Empire Strikes Back, you do a bunch of shots and then you end with I am your father. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, it's just, why would you put stuff from the climax of your film in a trailer? It seems like people are starting to learn to put less in their trailer, but this was just, I was noticing it this time, wait, most of this stuff is from the climax. Most of the stuff in the trailer was from the climax. Why? Lucky does try to use a proton pack on him, but it doesn't work. So Phoebe coats hers in brass, and then she melts from the pole. And it sort of works, but not really. It's only when Kumail starts to get his powers, because there's a thing where apparently the ghost girl accidentally caused the fire that killed her family. So maybe her punishment has been stuck on her, I don't know. And she has this match that never works, but somehow now that Kumail Nanjiani is there, he can control the fire. But that's not even what stops. The fire thing is not even what stops Garaka. They put him in a trap by reversing everything and sending it back into the containment unit. Yeah. Also, I thought it was unnecessary to have the mini Stay Puffs. They do try to explain it like they brought them from Somerville, but they shouldn't exist anymore because Gozer is gone. They were only brought forth because Gozer was coming back. So they shouldn't exist anymore. It's an example of, oh, they were funny and kids liked them in the last one, so we gotta bring it back. It's Slimer all over again. Yeah. Everybody is saved, and thanks to Phoebe, and they come out, and immediately Peck is there, and he's blaming them for what happened. And I'm just like, really? Really? Kinda is their fault, but not really. It's Kumail's fault, if anything. But you didn't do that to be in a movie, right? Yeah, but then he's like, he's on camera and then has to, like I said, he has to like act like he's like, of course. And someone yells, like I said, someone yells out, "How about you thank them, you dickless?" He's funny. He's funny. But yeah. I let somebody punch them, like Callie or something, but I'm just thinking of Die Hard again. But yeah, there really wasn't a point to bring him back. You know, he was just being Walter Pick like he was in the other movies, but yeah. But then we get the Ghostbusters theme, and they've kind of grown. Phoebe calls Gary Dad, and then he calls him Gary again. She's like, she called me Dad. That's a little forced. But what I did like is that Trevor now gets to drive. He's 18, he has a driver's license, he can drive. He drove in the last one. Yeah. By the way, they go off to chase Dragon and Slimer. Which, again, the Ghostbusters are like, hey, just try to get the Dragon, Slimer's our friend. Nothing. There's nothing. You know what I needed, though? Because there's a scene where Winston is berating Ray. You're too old, Ray. You can't go around. You got kids in danger. You know, the whole thing. These are supposed to be our golden years. And he said, this is how I want to spend my golden years. When he goes to talk to him, they have a small conversation. It doesn't really amount to anything. And then he suits up. What I needed is a conversation between them where Ray kind of goes, well, what happened to our gold? There is another comment like, golden years? Golden years. What happened to this being our golden years? Yeah, well, you know, if you got the tools, you got the talent, sometimes shit happens, and who you gonna call? You know? PG-13, you can get away with saying shit. Okay? I'm just saying. But yeah, I'm gonna give it a middle of the road. It's a high middle of the road. I think it's good, just not as good as the first three. Yeah, I still like Ghostbusters 2. Okay? It has gone down. And now that we have 5 movies, I can do a ranking. And not yet. But I will do a ranking eventually. I know I've been kind of down on rankings. I realized while looking, so I planned, I don't know if I'm still doing it, but I planned on doing a video where I tell the best and the worst of each Sequel-A-Thon, and I was going to include Remake-A-Thon as well. So I started looking it up. I did rankings for the first 2 Sequel-A-Thons and didn't realize it. I didn't realize I did those. I forgot. I didn't do one for Remake-A-Thon. I didn't do one for... I think I planned on doing one for Sequel-A-Thon 3, but never did. I just never did. Rankings, I don't know. I like doing rankings. I do like it. I had plans to do some rankings in the future, but I don't know. But I plan on doing what's the best one from the first Sequel-A-Thon and the worst one. What's the best from the second one? Third, second, worst. So on and so forth. This is nowhere near the worst. But somewhere in the middle, I think. So what are your thoughts on Ghostbusters, Frozen Empire? Let me know in the comments below. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I've been Scotty, and I'll see you in the next one.